Hey guys, it's Jake here. Gonna take you out on a call with me today. Yesterday I was over doing a furnace maintenance on an existing customer's house. I'd never done a furnace maintenance on this. It's her first floor unit. It's a Carrier 92% efficient furnace, 80K BTU input. And this thing services 2 floors. It's got a partially finished basement. I think it has 3 or 4 different supply drops down there. Maybe 5, and it's not recovering any air from the basement, so it has no return in the basement, even though it's dumping 3 to 5 supply drops into that basement. It has a 20 by 25 on the main level, and when I was over there servicing it, I did a test in on it, and it went out on error code 33 for a temperature limit issue. And I got it to fire again, and same thing. I was getting up to around 38 to 40 degrees of temp rise on it. Furnace is rated for 40 to 70 degrees of temp rise, and the thing was going out on a temperature limit. I put my meter on a continuity beep on the main temperature limit, and was watching it and caught it on camera on my cell phone, and the limit was opening up after several minutes of runtime, right around when I was hitting that 38 to 40 degree temp rise mark. And it opened, and then it stayed open, and then it started rapid beeping. So I was losing continuity, gaining continuity, losing continuity. It did it a bunch of times, and then all of a sudden it stopped again. It was open, and then all of a sudden the temperature limit closed. You could hear an audible click, and then the blower motor shut down, and then the draft motor would start again, and it would go through the sequence of operations to restart the furnace. It's a 210 temp limit, 210 degrees it will open, and then at 190, when it drops below 190, it will close again. So I don't know what we got going on over there on this one. I didn't have time to troubleshoot the entire thing. I started with the basics. I checked gas pressure on it. Gas pressure was a little high. It was 3.73 inches of water column. I adjusted that down to 3.5 inches. I also disconnected the flue pipe. I put a vacuum on the flue and sucked on it, blew it through. I had flow coming to the outside. I did the same thing outside to the inside. I had flow coming both ways. So the flue pipe isn't restricted. The flue pipe is a little small. It's a 2-inch, and it runs about 24.5 feet. And then it's got 2 90s. The first 90 is kind of a tighter bend, so it's going to add about 8 feet of distance. And then it has a long sweep 90 outside, which would add about 5 feet of distance. So about 35 to 38 feet total length for flue pipe, and 2-inch, maybe up to 40 feet. I'd much rather see a 3-inch flue there. But you know, I'd have to get approval on that, but maybe that's what's not causing the issue. I don't really know. I need to open up the coil when I get over there. I'm going to try to pull off the panels and look down into the heat exchanger. I'm going to make sure that all the registers in the house are open. I'm going to possibly pull the blower out if I need to see if the secondary heat exchanger's plugged up. This lady keeps a really clean house, but maybe something got sucked into the secondary and it's plugging it up. I have no idea, but I got to do a more thorough investigation today. I just didn't have time yesterday. I was doing furnace maintenances at her house, but I got several no cooling calls that came in, so I had to break away to try to restore people's air. And you know, I'm coming back today to try to diagnose why we're getting this error code 33 on this furnace. So it never locked out till lockout 13. It always would cycle back. So I don't know, maybe we're gonna have a compromised heat exchanger. I just don't know. I know the flue pipe is clear. I pulled the condensate trap off of it. It had some PVC shavings in it. I cleared that. That wouldn't have caused the high temp limit to tune off. The water wasn't like backing up in the draft motor and making the thing not run. It was just partially restricting that drain. I made sure the furnace drain was clear, cleaned all the ports on the pressure switches and stuff, but I actually caught it on video, the fault of the temp limit opening up, and then rapid beeping where it was losing and gaining continuity, and then it just went off again, and then finally made continuity. It concerns me though that we are running this furnace and air conditioner, and we're dropping supply into the basement, and we're not recovering that back into the system. But if the machine is putting out airflow, it needs to recover that same airflow back, or there's going to be negative consequences. So let's get over there and see if we can figure this out. I got a combustion analyzer if I need to break that thing out and see if we have a mass increase of O2 when the blower motor kicks on, if I can't visually find something wrong or a restriction in airflow. Closed. Okay, so we got a MERV 11 20 by 25 filter, which is too restrictive. So I suggested we need to get a MERV 5 or less on this. We had 3 supply registers closed on the first floor, probably from vacuuming or something. 2 over in this side and then 1 in the living area. And then I just checked down here. I'm gonna have you upside down. This is the return run. There is a plumbing pipe going through it, some wire and supply plumbing, but it's clear down through there. And we have only 3 registers in the basement. I thought there was 3 to 5, I couldn't remember, and all 3 of those are open, but there is no return down there, so we're losing what, about a 240 CFM down there, and we're not recovering it back. There's 6 inches, so I'd imagine about 80 CFM per vent, per register. Okay, so this is the fault I was getting. Limit circuit fault indicates a limit or flame rollout switch is open. Blower run for 4 minutes or until open switch remakes, whichever is longer. If open longer than 3 minutes, code changes to 13. I never went there. So if open less than 3 minutes, status code 33 continues to flash till the blower shuts off. So I didn't have any of the manual resets tripped. I got one down there, one over here, which is impossible to get a meter on, and then that's the one I was testing there when I caught it go out on the safety here. So it says you could have proper vent sizing, which we are a little low on that. I'd have to look at the manual to see what it's saying. Defective blower motor capacitor, those tested. The capacitor tested good yesterday. Inadequate combustion air supply. This is the combustion air here, and I did check, that's clear. Loose blower wheel, I didn't hear any excessive noise. The wind, I doubt it. Defective switch or connections, that's a possibility. These things could possibly be loose. They feel tight though. But I'm going to snake my camera in right here, my inspection camera, up this return here. It's a square duct going up, and see if this has any restrictions in it. This is the flue pipe. It's not a long sweep 90 here. It's like a medium, and then it comes across and goes out right there and immediately turns down outside. So I would like to see this as a 3-inch really. But this is where I disconnected it and cleared it out. I made sure this was all clear, pulled the P-trap for it, cleared all the ports, got all the shavings out of this, had a little bit of shavings in this as well. But we did have three registers closed off, and checked outside. This is a 2.5 ton AC unit, so 3 of those shut off is almost a ton of capacity lost from this thing. But it wasn't even running long enough to get up in the design. It was shutting off around 38 to 40 degrees of temp rise. So, but of course this in this cavity is going to be a lot warmer than, you know, when I'm getting out the vents. Alright, well we're completely clear going up to the 90 up there where it meets that transition going over to the return grill. Alright, so here's the switch in question here. You hear it rattling a little bit. Went ahead and made sure these connections were tight. Don't have any like corrosion or anything on this. Well, this side of the coil right here, it looks perfectly clear. I'm going to take these screws off here and see what this part of the A looks like. Looking down in there, I'm going to put my camera in it. You can see a couple small little rust spots on the top. Nothing alarming yet that I see. I'm going to go ahead and get my camera down in there and see if I can give it a closer look. Alright, well, I'm not sure how well this will show up here, but that's where the limit switch is, and you can see that insulation right there is bundled up. That could be preventing airflow from getting across that switch right there, and that could be causing that thing to heat up more than it should. It's bunched up pretty good too right there. Pretty good indeed. I might have to reach in there with my finger and straighten that out. Here's some small little rust spots we had, but nothing that looked like a hole. I did close-ups on everything that I saw there. It just looks like a normal little rust spot. I'm going to do a double check on it again. It just looks like a couple little small rust spots. I can't see if there's any hole in it, so what I'm going to do is drop my light down in there and then use my camera again and just put more light on the subject. Make sure that what I am seeing is just a little bit of surface rust and nothing to worry about, but just using the light on my camera, it just looks like rust on it, just a little bit of rust on the surface. But that bunched up insulation where the temp limit goes would definitely probably not allow airflow to cross across the switch, so then it would be picking up radiant heat from the heat exchanger. Couple that with 3 supply registers closed on a 2.5 ton AC 80,000 BTU furnace. That might be enough to take this thing out on limit. Alright, so I ended up not having to remove the panel here. I just snaked my camera around. The underside of that coil is clean. I put more light on it. I put my big old spotlight in there. Not sure how well it'll show up on this camera, but it just looks like some minor surface rust. And there's another shot of that insulation balled up right there. That would definitely prevent air from going across that thing, at least part of it. I need to fix that, I think. Here's another shot. It just is, looks like just minor surface rust, nothing that looked like a crack. Here's a kind of a whole view of the whole thing there. So, looks like it's not, that I could tell, it doesn't look like it's cracked or anything. Maybe that thing was just not getting airflow because of that bunched up insulation in there. And it's a big old ball. That would definitely block air from going across that switch, and then it would pick up the radiant heat from that heat exchanger, and that's right where that daggone flame enters, you know. Alright, well, I need to check the secondary heat exchanger next just to see if it has anything. I looked at the blower wheel, and the blower wheel fins are clean. You can see the set screw on the flat part of the shaft. Not sure if I mentioned this or not. So everything looked okay there. I didn't see anything that looked out of the ordinary. Here's just a picture of the wheel. It's nice and clear. No issues there. So I'm going to check that secondary and make sure it's clear. But so far the coil here looks okay on the underside. Top of the heat exchanger looks okay. I ran it down into it. I didn't see anything that looked problematic. I like how they put this transition between the furnace and the coil. That's pretty sweet, so you can actually get down in there and see. Alright, so here's the secondary heat exchanger. That's one of the worst spots on it. It's really not bad. Right there's another tiny little couple specks of dust on it. I can see right through it. Right there. That's got like a dead bug. And that's the view of pretty much the whole thing. You can see it looks clear. It's got a little bit of debris there and a little bit that way, but it's definitely see-through. You can see the light from my inspection camera. It's really not bad. That shouldn't be causing the limit issue. I went ahead and checked the top of the wheel as well when I pulled it out, and didn't see anything restricting above the blower wheel in between the blower and the secondary. So that looked okay as well. So we had 3 registers closed, and where this temp limit is, we got a big old balled up piece of insulation. Alright, so I got this temp limit, the insulation around it pressed down here. I went ahead and put my camera back in there. I was able to flatten that out. It's actually on the top side of the limit. Oh, sorry, my headlamp's probably putting glare. So it was actually on the top side, so if air was coming from the bottom up in that big old kick out, it was like a big ball of insulation folded up like that. It would have held the heat against this thing. Couple that with 3 supply registers closed off, and maybe that was the issue, you know. Might end up having to adjust the blower speed on it. I believe the yellow is medium high, and that's what's being used in cooling mode, and then blue is medium low, and that's what I'm using here for heat on this relay. So I might have to put yellow on heat and black, which is parked right now, on the cool tap. I just have to see if I can get it to run long enough. I'll check the temporize and see where it falls. I need to got the motor back in now. I need to get the coil door put back on and tape back up, and then I need to get the limit switch back in, and I think I'm going to go ahead and test fire it, see what it does. Alright, I got the coil door put back on, got everything taped up the way it was, so that's ready. Went ahead and just checked the schematic on this. I got the temp limit put back in. It was flipped upside down. I went ahead and right side upped it. Maybe somebody took it off in a previous inspection, put it in upside down. I don't really know, but I got it right side up. And then I looked at the schematic here, and this is a 17-inch cabinet width, all models, and I actually have the 5 speeds. My black is high, yellow is medium high, orange is medium, blue is medium low, and red is low. So I took the blue off the heat tap, which is here, and I parked it on a spare, and then I moved orange medium speed to the heat tap here for heat. When I did a maintenance on the cooling, I didn't check the heat, but in cooling, medium high was all I needed to get the temperature split for the unit to fall within 16 to 20 degrees of temperature split between return and supply. So hopefully medium here will work, and that'll give us a good enough split. I figure I'll just throw some more air at it as well. There's a possibility that we do have a bad temp limit here. I don't really know. Visually, I couldn't see any cracks or holes in the heat exchanger. The fins on the blower looked clear. The return is clear. Flue pipe appeared clear. I was able to pull a vac and blow through it on this. I could feel the air coming out the other side. I did it from both ends. I was using my smaller shop vac, the Milwaukee. It's battery operated. I have a big rigid. It'll suck a golf ball through a garden hose. Just kidding, but that's what I say. And I didn't use that because I didn't have it on my van. So, but it did. I could feel the air pulling. I could get suction from it. So it felt like it was doing it, that it was clear and was flowing free. So I'm thinking maybe we had those 3 registers closed, and then also that insulation, for some reason I thought was actually at the bottom, but the insulation that was peeled up was right here at the top. So as air's coming up, it would have hit that insulation. I mean, it was folded out about that much. It would have hit that insulation and probably held the heat, the radiant heat, against that temp limit. So you combine that with 3 registers closed, and this thing still being in the factory setting of blue, medium, low for heat that was never changed. I'm the first person to do, I guess, a legitimate heating maintenance on this. So, you know, now I got it in orange medium, so we should be able to push a little more air through it. If I need to, I'll have to come back in the spring. I could put my black on cool tap and the yellow on the heat tap. We'll just see if it runs long enough. There's a possibility that the switch is bad. Maybe that insulation being there roasted the switch, or it's just a bad switch. I don't really know. But definitely, if that insulation was poked out that far, as air's coming up through it, all that heat would have been trapped right there. You would have had a little back eddy of airflow right into that switch. So maybe we'll get lucky here and be able to fire this thing off and it won't cut off on us. Alrighty, well I'm going to go ahead and put the doors on here, and we'll fire it up and see how it does. Alright, well I just scoped this, and I pushed it in as far as it'd go, and I didn't see anything. It's pretty dark in there. They glued this fitting out here, which is a real pain in the butt. I normally use a high temp silicone on the outside ones. That way you can cut it or just pull the thing off if you need to try to, you know, look down the flue pipe or get some suction on it. I would have rather seen also this thing come out farther. This thing is right here by the electrical meter. It's just dumping straight down. I would have liked to seen this come out and maybe go down at a 45. But you know, everybody does different. I guess it was passed. Yeah, I was able to look down in that. I didn't see anything. I'm going to go ahead and fire the system up. I'm going to put some my field piece probes and get my iPad and watch the temporize and see if this thing cuts off. Alright, it's been running a few minutes now. I got my probes placed. We're at a 33-degree temperature split between return and supply. So last time when I got up around 38 and 40, this thing was shutting off. $36 now. $38. Alright, we're at 40. Never made it this high before. It's 74 degrees when I started this thing. My probes are reading 75. So it's already raising up that temp. Alright, 42 and a half. It's doing better than it did yesterday. 44 degrees. Yesterday was almost 80 degrees though, 78 outside, something like that. That's why I decided to come back today. The high today is supposed to be around 70. Oh yeah, we're at 46 now. Hoping it starts to steady out here. Might have to up the blower speed a little more. If I have to, I'll have to use the yellow medium high, and then just put the cooling on black, or see if I can pigtail the yellow, tap into cool and heat with the yellow pigtailed or something. 47. Looks like it's starting to steady out. 48.3, 48.5. Alright, well I wanted to shoot an outro for this video. The temporize ended up steadying out on that unit, and it did not shut off and did not go out on error code 33 anymore. I've had to swing by the bank here and deposit some checks for the day. Got to get home and get out on the football field this evening. My daughter's a senior in high school. She performs in the band, and since she's a senior, I guess we got to walk out on during halftime, and she walks from the band area over to us, and they kind of, I guess, congratulate her as being a senior. and let the parents come out on the field and stuff like that. So pretty excited to be able to do that. I remember when she started as a freshman and seeing that, and you know, it's pretty important for her that I'm there, so I want to make sure I get over there and get that taken care of. You know, don't want to miss that. Only so many of them moments that you can come by as a parent, and I can't believe she's already a senior in high school. It is freaking crazy. I remember when she was just a little thing and we nicknamed her Peanut. But anyway, so I got that unit tested out. I let it run for over 15 minutes straight. Took the indoor temperature from 74 up to about 78 degrees. I was drawing 80 degree return air, and was putting out 134.2 out the supply. So I had a temperature rise of 54.2 degrees. The target for that furnace is 40 to 70 degrees of temperature rise. So I'm right in that sweet spot, about 14.2 over the minimum and 15.8 under the maximum. So I'm right in that sweet spot of about 55 degrees of temperature rise on that unit. I actually let that thing satisfy. I turned it the thermostat down, let it satisfy on its own, and then I fired it again and ran another about 12-minute cycle on that one, on the second one, and it took it up over 80 degrees inside this lady's house. So when I was leaving, I had to, after everything cooled down, I went ahead and turned on the AC and set it for 76, which is her normal set point for the cooling mode. So I had to cool that house back down. I got it pretty hot. It got up to about, I guess, about 70, 72 today. Yesterday when I was there, it was 78 to 80 degrees, and I had some no cooling calls come in, which is why I didn't finish troubleshooting it yesterday. So I think we had a combination of a few things there. One thing I told her, she needs to have return in the basement. She's dropping 3 supply vents down there. Actually got approval from her to go ahead and price out a new return run for the basement. I'm thinking about doing a 14 by 20 return grill down there, come up with some metal square duct off the return up high, and then come in with some flex and tie into the return plenum, the return duct that's there right now, kind of up at a higher area, so then it can feed down into the furnace. I'll have to measure the return duct that's there, make sure that it's big enough, and want to make sure that I can fit what I'm thinking I can fit in that wall cavity that I have access to. I'll just cut a hole in the sheetrock, put in my return grill with a box, and then come up off the box, raise it vertically, and then come off the top with a flex just to help quiet it down and keep it nice and quiet. Probably do end up doing a 10 inch down there, since I have 3 supply drops in the basement. Not really sure. I've got to go back and make a plan up. I didn't have time today, but yeah, I think there was a combination of a few things going on there. She had 3 supply registers closed on her first floor, and she said she thinks she might have done that when she was mopping and vacuuming. I don't know. So I told her just keep an eye on that, make sure that that doesn't happen in the future. We also, originally when I was testing the unit, we had 3.73 inches of water column on the gas, and I lowered that down to 3.5 inches of water column. Raised the blower speed from the blue wire on the motor, which is medium low, up to the orange wire, which is medium speed. And then I think the thing that really got us was where that temperature limit was. That piece of insulation was poked out. I mean, it must have been about 1 inch out. So, and it was at the top. I think originally I said it was the bottom, but it's at the top. So as air's getting pushed up through that heat exchanger, it was hitting that insulation, and I think it created just a back eddy of turbulent air that was just, I don't know if that's the word, sorry, but it's kind of like what you see in a creek or a river. You have the water flowing, and then you kind of get that off current that keeps doing like this off to the sides. I think that's what was going on, and her heat exchanger at that temperature limit it was trapping that hot air right there, and she was picking up radiant heat from the heat exchanger shell itself, and it was just overheating that temperature limit. Originally when I tested that thing, I fired it 3 different times while I was there, and it fired up, and within minutes of it firing, it was shutting back off on error code 33, and then it would cycle. It would run the blower for about 3 minutes, and then it would shut down the blower, and then the draft motor would kick on. It would go through the sequence, and then it would fire the thing up. So I'm going to, moving forward, I'm going to make sure if I ever run into that on Carrier furnaces in the future, to be sure to check that insulation around the temperature limit to see if it's folded out. Probably could have happened at manufacturing. I don't really know. I don't know. Maybe it got like that when someone took it out and looked in there with a scope or something. I don't know. I didn't do that yesterday when I was there. So maybe the previous company, the one who actually installed the furnace, maybe they did it. I have no idea. She doesn't know if it was operating like that. She said, you know, I just don't pay attention, so I can't tell you if it's been doing that all along or not. I have no idea. So it is what it is. I got it up to 80 degrees at the thermostat in there, and got it to satisfy. I ran 2 cycles, and no more faults on the error code 33, so that's good news. I'm going to call that one A-OK. I told her to keep an eye on it. I thought about upping the blower speed a little more until it finally leveled out at 54 degrees. That's kind of the sweet spot there, between 40 and 70, and I just decided to leave it. I asked how she felt like the air was inside. She's like, oh yeah, it's nice and warm air. I like that. It'll give me a nice cozy home. I said, yeah, it's right in line with where it should be, right in the middle of between the 40 and 70. So I advised her, let's just leave that, see how it does over the next coming days and weeks, and if there's any issues I can always come back and dive into it deeper. But I think that was the major issue, was that insulation pushed out and was trapping air that was passing that temp limit, and it was just kind of recycling on itself and making that thing go out on limit. I mean, before it was getting to 38 degrees, 39.8 was the highest I got, and it was immediately shutting off. So it never got higher than that before, and now this thing was cooking up where I was having 130 degree supply temperature because it was so hot in the house. I asked her what she normally sets her heat at in the winter, and she sets it at 134 degrees supply air. She says she normally sets it at 68. So if it's 68 degrees in the house, we add 54 to that, she'd be getting right at about 122 degrees of supply air coming out of the vents, which will feel nice and warm. Anything above about 110 degrees is going to feel nice and warm and cozy to somebody. So that'll be right, I think, right where it needs to be. Sorry, I keep repeating myself. I'm terrible about doing that. I just keep saying the same thing over and over again. But anyways, that'll wrap this one up. I'm going to go ahead and get on home. I'm going to swing through the supply house before they close, and then I got to swing by the house, get showered, cleaned up, and get over to the ball field for this ceremony they're doing at the halftime show. I want to say thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. Appreciate the support, guys. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch an old scrub like me. You guys stay safe out there. Get home safe to your family. I'll talk to everybody later. Take care, guys.